before doing the paper of C4 June 2008, it's always a good idea to know what would be in the exam structure. So you have an anticipation of what to expect in the exam. The C4 exam does not only test the topics in C4, it also tests topics in C1, C2 and C3. There are new topics in C4, and these topics are vectors, parametric equations, although parametric equation is an extension of Cartesian equation, and integration. C4 has lots of integration, and topics from C2, binomial series and trapezium rule, and topic from C3, which is implicit differentiation that has both x and y mixed up, and rates of change. Rate of change is an IGCSE concept, basically an IGCSE concept, but that is also included. The entire syllabus can be a picture looks like this. This is what the C4 mind map looks like, and you have topics like vectors and partial fractions, series, all these things, but these are not all C4 topics. So I would like to start off with topics that are from other paper. So binomial series, implicit differentiation, trapezium rule, rates of change. Let's do these 4 sums first. Now C4 paper usually it has 7 to 8 questions. So let's take a look at the question paper. So here there are 8 questions, and we would like to do the topics that are in the other topics other than C4. So this question right here, this is a trapezium rule. So let me write this down. C2 trapezium rule. So this is a C2 trapezium rule question. And then the next one, this is a C4 question. So let's move on. This is a rate of change question. So this is rate of change. This is from a previous topic. Then question number 4 is implicit. So this is from a C3 implicit differentiation question. Implicit differentiation means x and y are mixed together. Then the next one, question number 4, is a topic from C2 binomial series. So that's the question. Then question number 6 is vectors. And question number 7 is differentiation, separable method, and question number 8 is parametric equation. So let's start. Let's start from question number 1, trapezium rule. Now the first question here, we have to fill up the table. So we know this is y and the values of x are given. So all we have to do, find the value of this in terms of e. E means E is a constant, that means E equals to 2.7182818,284, something like that. That constant is E. So here if x equals to 0.8, that means 0.5 into 0.8 square. So we can just calculate this. So that means 0.5 into 0.8 squared. That makes it 0.32. So we can write e to the power 0.32. The next one that we have is 1.6. So that means 0.5 into 1.6 squared. That is 1.28. So we can write e to the power 1.28. Now in question number B, we have to use the trapezium rule. So this is question number B. Using the trapezium rule, we have to find the approximate area. So we can write area approximately. This is the approximation sign. The formula is this. Let me write the formula here. The formula is h by 2, the first value of y, plus 2 into y1, y2, everything that there is, and the final one, so bracket close, and the final one is yn. So here the value of h is the common difference from here. So 0.4 minus 0 is the common difference. This is h, 0.4 minus 0. So this is going to be h divided by 2. Now why not? The first value is e to the power 0 plus 2 into this value is e to the power 0.08 plus this value is e to the power 0.32 plus this value is e to the power 0.72 plus this value is e to the power 1.28 bracket closed and plus finally e to the power 2. So we have to do this calculation in the calculator. After this sign we can give the equal to sign. So for calculating this, so this is going to be, so let's do the innermost bracket. So e to the power 0.8. So this is everything that you write after e means exponent. So you don't have to write e to the power. Everything you write after e is the exponent. So 0.08 equals to this. Plus we have e to the power 0.32. So 0.32 equals to this plus e to the power 0.72. 0.72 equals to this plus e to the power 1.28. 1.28 equals to this. Now this into 2. We have to multiply this into 2. So this now plus e to the power 0 is 1. Anything to the power 0 is 1 plus e to the power 2. So this is going to be e to the power 2 equals to this. Now 0.4 divided by 2 is 0.2. So multiplied by 0.2 and we get 4.922. So 4.922. So that's what we get. So the mark scheme says that we can either put the value in terms of the exact format or we can put the value from the calculator. Since in the question it didn't mention what we have to do. So the question is this and we use the formula and find down the answer, and this is 4.922. It is very important to notice this 4 significant figure. 4 significant figure means there has to be 4 significant digits. So if you miss that, you're going to lose the A1 mark, the accuracy mark. So this is the examiner's report, and it says a significant majority of candidates were able to score full marks on this question. Significant majority means a lot of people. In part A, very few candidates failed to find either one or both of the y coordinates. So most people could find the calculation. In part B, they incorrectly used the value of h. Now this is a common mistake. Remember, the value of h is the difference of the value of the two x's. You don't have to find h like that. You use this rule only if you don't know what the table is. So this is a common mistake. Many candidates, however, were able to look at the given table and deduce the value of h. A few candidates wrote e to the power 0 as 0. This is another common mistake. E to the power 0 is 1. And nearly all answers were given to 4 significant figures as requested in the question. So that is important. The next question that we are going to do, that is going to be question number 2 is integration. We're going to do that later. Let's do the ones that rate of change. Let's do that first. Rate of change means something is changing with time. Rate of change of area means something is changing, the area is changing with time. Rate of change of volume means the volume is changing with time. So something is changing with time. So if it is said rate of change of area, it means dA by dt. If it is rate of change of volume, it means dV by dt. If it is the rate of change of radius or height or anything, that is dr by dt, something like that. Now the way to do this sum is using the chain rule. The chain rule is multiplying or dividing the derivative. So this is a derivative. We have change of something with change of something. So suppose you are asked to find an unknown rate. That means the unknown rate would be equal to the known rate times some sort of a derivative. So now some sort of a derivative means derivative of a formula. In order to do this sum, you need an idea of area and volume. If something is a flat object, a flat shape, the space that it occupies, that's called area. And one of the most common area to be tested here is the area of a circle, which is pi r squared. So this is a circle and this is the radius of the circle. The area of the circle is pi r squared. Remember, pi is a number. Just like e is a number, 2.718281824, pi is a number which is 3.141, 14 like that, 3.14152, something like that. So pi is a number. Now when you differentiate this, when you find the derivative of this, it's like differentiating anything that is like this. For example, area of 2x squared or 3 for that matter, since pi is close to 3. So we can write dA by dx equals to 6x. That's it. So if it was pi, you can write pi x squared, that would be 2 pi x. So if it was area is pi x squared, you can write dA by dx equals to 2 pi x. That's the basic derivative. So in order to do this sum, you need to know what the known rate is, and you need to know what the derivative of the formula is. So question number A, let's read the question. So we have some sort of a cylinder, and the cylinder has radius x, and the height is 5x, and we have to, this information is given, and the cross-sectional area, so we have this is the cross section, the circle. So this information is given. So we have given that the cross-sectional area is increasing, that it means the rate centimeter square per second. So that means dA by dt, this is 0.032. So this is given. What we have to find is find dx by dt. Okay, we have to find dx by dt. We don't know what that means, and it is given that x is, the radius is 2 centimeter. Given x is 2 centimeter. Now one thing might be not clear. How can something, some shape change? Well, it can happen. Think of this shape. This is a solid, it's a cylinder. Now if I just view this from here, so this is a circle, this is the area of cross section. Now suppose something is happening that only the area is increasing, so the area might be increasing, and this can happen. There are shapes where the area of cross section might increase, so the circle is increasing. On the other hand, if I think of shape from here and the volume is increasing, so this is what would happen. So there can be shape. For example, when you have a bucket full of water and water is poured in, so the volume of the water would be increasing. So that can happen. So this is a common phenomenon. So now what we have to do is we have to find dx by dt. So let's write down the relationship. The unknown rate dx by dt equals to the known rate dA by dt into the derivative. So now the derivative, we are talking about the area of a circle. So the circle area of cross section is increasing here. So we need dx upstairs. So let me write dx. And if I cancel this dA, so what really happens is dA and dA cancels, and we have dx by dt. So if I put the value, dA by dt is 0.032. Now I need the value of this dx by dA. I told you before, it is going to be the derivative. So let me write down the formula. So formula for area of a circle. So for, it's a good idea to give a structure, pi x squared, that's the area of a circle with radius x. So if I differentiate this, dA by dx, so pi into 2 is 2 pi x. Now it was given that x equals to 2. I can find the value at x equals to 2. dA by dx equals to 2 pi 2, which is 4 pi. So let me stuff it here. Therefore dx by dt equals to, so we know this is 0.032, so 0.032 multiplied by, now this is dx by dA, and we found dA by dx, so we need the reciprocal. So 1 by 4 pi, 1 by 4 pi. So let's use the calculator. 0.032 divided by, let me give a bracket, 4 pi. So this is going to be 2.5 into 10 to the power minus 3. So this is a standard form. So we can just change this by shift and this button. Shift and this button. So this becomes 0. So the answer would be 0.00255. So what is the required 3 significant figure? So if it is 3 significant figure, we can write 0.00255. 0.00255. So 0.00255. The mark scheme says, so from we have dA by dt. This is given. We know area is pi x squared, so the derivative is 2 pi x. We know dx by dt is this by this, and we can have put the value of x equals to this, and we get 0.00255. It has for A1 mark, it has to be significant figure. Now note on significant figure. When you put the significant figure, 1 to 9, these digits are significant figure. 0 is a significant figure only if it is on the right hand side of other significant figures, which is 1 to 9. So here 0.00, these are not considered to be significant figures because they're on the left hand side of the digits 1 to 9. So that's why 255. So these are the three significant figures, and this has to be written because it is part of the question. So 0.00255. Now if I had written 255 as the three significant figures, this would increase because of the 6 here, the 4 would become 5. Then it would be 255. Remember, this is an approximate value, it has to match. So for that reason we have to write not only 255, we have to write the 0.00255. That's a very important question. Question number B is find the rate of increase of the volume. So we just have to find rate of increase of the volume means dV by dt. So that's what we have to find. So let's do it here. So it is given, we can use the previous sum that dx by dt is equals to 0.00255. What we have to find is dV by dt, and we know this is unknown. The next thing that we have to find, so this is given x equals to 2. So let's write down the chain rule. This is the unknown quantity dV by dt. This is the known quantity dx by dt. Now we need a derivative which is dV because we need to match this dV, and we have dx, so that dx and dx cancels. So dx by dt is 0.00255 times dV by dx. So let's write down the rule now. This time it's a cylinder. Remember, we have the volume of a cylinder. So if you remember, the volume of a cylinder is pi r square h. Since the radius is x and the height is 5x, so the volume would be pi x squared 5x. It's a good idea to show it here. So for volume equals to pi x squared, so 5x. So we can write this as x squared into x is x cubed, so 5 pi x cubed. So let's do the derivative. dV by dx is equals to 5 3s are 15, so 15 pi x squared. Now let's put the value of x. So when x equals to 2, we can write dV by dx equals to 15 pi 2 squared. So 2 squared means 4. 4 into 15, 60. So this is going to be 60 pi. Now if you get back to the original rate of change or chain rule, so dV by dt equals to 0.00255 into, now we need dV by dx. We don't need the reciprocal anymore. We need directly this. So 60 pi. So we can use the calculator. So 0.00255 into 60 pi. So this is going to be 0.48. So 0.48066. So 0.481. Now, did they mention anything about the significant figure of this particular sum? Here it doesn't really matter, so we're going to stick to significant figure. Now, one thing is very important. When you write down the answer, your answer has to have a unit. So remember, for area, here it is centimeter square per second. For length, it is centimeter per second. And so we have to write here centimeter per second. And we have to write here for volume, centimeter cubed per second. So that's what we have to write. So the mark scheme says that dV by dx is this. So we find the expression for volume. and we do the chain rule and we find the answer is 0.48. Now the examiner's report. Examiner's report is a report that the people who make the question and the people who check the exam papers they make. So you get an idea of what's going on. So at the outset, a significant majority of candidates struggled to extract some or all of the information. So this is a problem. This rate of change is a problem that many people struggle. So remember, significant majority of candidates struggled. So significant means a lot of people struggle with this problem. Now these candidates were able to write down the rate at which the cross-section area was increasing. So they understood this portion, they understood it. And area is pi x squared, they understood it, they understood this. So they were unable to write. So they were unable to understand this. So these are the basic information of rate and change, and most people were unable to understand this. It is important that you take this note from them. So they are telling you they are going to test these type of questions over and over again, and you have to make sure that they understand that. And they often mention this in the introduction. We take a look at the introduction. They are saying teachers may want to specially review this topic. What is the topic? Rate of change. So when they write a note, this is a paragraph. If you read the examiner's report, you'll have an idea of what's going on. What is the problem that most students are facing? So when they said no revision for C, it seems as if they had no idea for question number 3. Connected rates of change, and very few people could do this. So once you understand that most of the students in the world, they are facing problem with this question, rates of change. So if you study rates of change, you're going to get good marks because they're going to test it again. That's the warning. So anyway, the next thing that they're saying in part A, some candidates wrote down the volume of the cylinder. Although it was a question of cross section, they wrote down the volume. That's a problem. Another popular error means common mistake, was for candidates to find the curved surface area. So that means they don't have any idea of the shapes and solids of cylinder and how that works. So this is a common mistake. So you have to know the basic area of a circle. You need to know the volume of a cylinder. You need to know the volume of a cone. You need to know the volume of a sphere. You also need to know the surface area of a cylinder, a cone, and a sphere. This is a very important part for this. So at this stage, many of these candidates were able to set up a correct equation for dx by dt and usually divide by this and substitute with this to gain 2 out of 4 marks. Another common error was candidates to incorrectly calculate this divided by 4 pi. So another mistake is the calculator mistake. So you have to remember, when you do division in the calculator, you have to use brackets, otherwise your calculator might not be clear about this. And question number B was tackled more successfully than part A, maybe because the chain rule is another more straightforward to use than in part A. So you have to remember, this is very common mistakes. About 10% of the candidates were able to produce a fully correct solution to this. Now if you imagine how many people sit for the test all over the world, 10% is a lot of people. So what they're telling you is you have to make sure you understand the basics of rate of change. Is one of the most common mistakes. Next question that we are going to do is question number 4, implicit differentiation. This is also from a topic outside of C4. So a curve has equation this. At the point P and Q, they lie on the curve. The gradient of the tangent to the curve is 8 by 3 at P and at Q. Okay, this is a C1 type question. So the gradient at P and gradient at Q both have the same gradient, 8 by 3. So use implicit differentiation to show that y equals to minus 2x equal to 0 at P and at Q. We don't know what that means. We can just straightforward, we can find an expression for the gradient first, because that is one of the most common questions. So 3x squared minus y squared plus xy equals to 4. So remember to write therefore, because these two lines are not going to be the same. I'm differentiating this. So if I differentiate this, 3x squared is going to be 6x minus y squared is going to be 2y, and here I have to write dy by dx. Remember, this is implicit differentiation. So when you differentiate y squared, is the same as x squared. If I would differentiate x squared, it would be twice x. If I would differentiate y squared, it would be twice y. But the difference is I have to write dy by dx. Plus, now I'm differentiating xy. Remember, this is a product rule. These are different variables. When you have to differentiate different variables, UV, this concept comes from C3. So whenever you have to differentiate two separate variables multiplied together that cannot be simplified, you have to use the product rule. So always use a bracket. So this is going to be u d by dx of v plus v d by dx of u equals to the derivative of 4 is going to be 0. So this is going to be u d by dx of v plus v d by dx of u. Remember this is coming from C3. So you have to know this in C4 too. So let's write this down, 6x minus 2y dy by dx plus x, derivative of y is dy by dx plus y, derivative of x is 1 equals to 0. So my job is to put all the dy by dx on one side and everything else on the other side, because what we want to do is find an expression for the derivative. So this is going to be minus 2y dy by dx plus x dy by dx equals to, I'm going to write this plus y here as minus y, to write this plus 6x here as minus 6x. Now if I take dy by dx common, I can write minus 2y plus x equals to minus y minus 6x. Therefore dy by dx equals to minus y minus 6x divided by minus 2y plus x. Now this is an expression for the implicit equation where x and y are mixed up. We found an expression for the gradient. Now if the expression for the gradient is this, it is mentioned that the gradient of the tangent, now this is a C1 concept. C1 concept says that the gradient of a tangent is the same as the gradient of the curve at that point. So if the gradient of the tangent to the curve is 8 by 3, then the gradient of the curve should also be 8 by 3 at that particular point. So we can write, so at P and Q, gradient of tangents at both the point P and Q is equals to 8 by 3. So that makes it, therefore dy by dx is equals to 8 by 3. We can use algebra now just to cross multiply. So if I cross multiply with 3, so 3 into minus y minus 6x, 8 into minus 2y plus x. So this would be 3 into minus y minus 3y. 3 into 8, 6 is minus 18x equals to minus 8 to the 16y plus 8x. So this would be equals, let me bring all the y on one side. So this would be 16y minus 3y equals, if I bring this minus 18x, it will be 18x plus 8x. Let me do the calculation here. 16y minus 3y is going to be 13y equals to 18 plus 8 is going to be 26x. Therefore y equals to, if I divide both sides by 13, it is going to be 2x. So y minus 2x equals to 0 is what we have to do in the first question. That's what we have to express. Now the next question is, find the coordinates of P and Q. So if you want to find the coordinates of P and Q, it's more or less like a point of intersection question. Now in order to find the coordinates of P and Q, you need two values of x and two values of y. That's the coordinate. Every coordinate, a Cartesian coordinate, is made up of x and y. So we just found an expression. Here we just found an expression. This is more like an equation 1 and this is equation 2. So what we have to do is solve these simultaneous equations. Plus xy equals to 4. This is equation 1. Y equals to 2x. So this is equation 2. So what we can do here, so 3x squared minus, here we can put 2x squared plus x, in place of y we can write 2x equals to 4. So we can write 3x squared minus 4x squared plus 2x squared equals to 4. That makes it 3x squared minus 4x squared is minus x squared. So 2x squared minus x squared is only x squared equals to 4. Therefore, x equals to plus minus square root of 4, which is plus minus 2. So we got two values. So one value is plus 2 and the other value is minus 2. So now we have to find the y coordinates. So at x equals to 2, y equals to 2 into 2, which is 4. At x equals to minus 2, y equals to 2 into minus 2, which is minus 4. So the answer, it doesn't really matter which one we're going to take, p and which one q. Let's take the first one as p. So 2 and 4 is p and q is minus 2 and minus 4. So this is the mark scheme. So the first is this, we do the derivative and we simplify, and the answer is this, from 13y equals to 26x. So that is correct. And the next one that we have is this one, where we find the coordinates of plus minus this. So 2, 4 and minus 2, minus 4. So that's what we got. That is correct. So it says this question was generally well done, with the majority of candidates scoring at least 6 of the 9 available marks. In part A, implicit differentiation was well handled. So this is well handled, that's good, with most candidates appreciating the need to apply the product rule. So they appreciate it, I guess. So a few candidates failed to differentiate the constant. So that means 0. You have, when you differentiate a constant, that's a 0. So that's that, and you have to remember this. They're simplifying, that's a common mistake. So some candidates who were unsuccessful in completing part A gave up on the whole question, even though it was still possible for them to. This is a very important point. Even if you cannot do the implicit differentiation of part A, you have the answer, which is y minus 2x equals to 0. Using that, you can solve simultaneously the two equations and you can actually solve it. So this is important that you do that. Another question on finding this x equals to plus minus 2. Some candidates went on to substituting these values back into the equation of the curve, forming a. You don't have to do that. Use just the linear y equals to 2x. It's easier. Try to do the sum in the most simplest way possible. That is a good idea. So question number 5 is the binomial series from C2. So binomial series is if you have 1 plus b to the power n, it is 1 plus nc1 b to the power 1 plus nc2 b to the power 2 plus dot dot dot, because they said up to x squared. Now this is for C2, and here n is a positive integer, but in C4 we have to remember it is not a positive integer. It's either negative or it's a fraction. In that case, 1 plus, instead of nc1 you have to write n and b to the power 1. Instead of nc2 you have to write n minus 1, 2 into 1, and then you write b to the power 2. So plus dot dot dot, that means that's an approximation, it's not the full expansion. So this is an important concept. So let's do this. So first of all, we have to write it upstairs. So 1 by square root of 4 minus 3x. Since square root of 4 minus 3x means 4 minus 3x to the power half, we can write it as 4 minus 3x to the power minus half. Now you notice I wrote here 1, so that is part of the convention. You have to make it into 1. So we have to take 4 common. So what we do here, we take 4 common. This becomes 1 minus thrice x by 4, and the whole thing has to the power minus half. That means 4 to the power minus half and 1 minus 3 by 4x to the power minus half. So 4 to the power minus half means 1 by 4 to the power half, or 1 by square root of 4, and this we can start breaking this down. So this is going to be 1 plus nc1 is going to be n, which is minus 1 by 2. B here, you have to consider the negative sign also. So minus 3 by 4x. So minus, you can write minus 3x by 4 to the power 1 plus nc2 is n minus 1, 2 into 1. This is into b to the power 2, which is minus 3x by 4 to the power 2 plus dot dot dot. So let's complete the expansion. So 1 by square root of 4 is 2. So 1, this is going to be minus minus plus 3, and this is going to be 4 to the 8 x. Now minus 1 by 2 means minus 0.5, minus 1 is minus 1.5. Remember, minus 1.5 is the same as 3 by 2. So 3 by 2 minus 3 by 2 into minus half, that means minus minus plus 3 by 4. So it's a better idea to do this by hand. So this is 3 by 4 upstairs, and this is divided by 2. So 3 by 4 divided by 2 is 3 by 8. Now this one is 3 squared, that means 9. 4 squared is 16, so this is 9 by 16, and the minus squared becomes positive, and we have x squared. Now we cannot cancel this in any way, so we have to use the calculator and find it out. Or we can just use basic C1 indices. 2 cubed is 8. 16 is 2 to the power 4. That makes it 2 to the power 7, and 2 to the power 7 is 128, and 3 nines are 27, so this is going to be plus 27 divided by 128 x squared plus dot dot dot, means this is not the full expansion, there are other terms, we're not just writing it down. So this is going to be now multiplied by half. Half into 1 is half, plus half into 3 by 8 is 3 by 16, plus half into 27 by this, so 27 by 128 into 2 is 256 x squared. So that's the approximate term. For part B, we have to do this division. Now in binomial series, you cannot do division, you can only do multiplication. So that means we have to multiply this with this expansion. So this is going to be, question number B is going to be x plus 8 divided by square root of 4 minus thrice x. I can write it as x plus 8 multiplied by 4 minus thrice x to the power minus half. I can also write this as x plus 8 multiplied by this expansion, because we have just done this. So this is going to be half plus 3 by 16x plus 27 by 256 x squared plus dot dot dot. Remember this approximate symbol. So we need the first 3 terms, that's it. So let's multiply by simple algebra. X into half is half x. X into this is 3 by 16 x squared plus x by, now this becomes x cubed. So we might not need this. Let's multiply this anyway, because they didn't say anything about square or anything. They just said the first 3 terms. We can remove this later on. So 256 x cubed. So the first x into this, this, done. Now 8. 8 into half is 8 by 2, which is 4, plus 8 into this is going to be, let's do this arithmetic here, 8 into 3 by 16, 8 to the 16, so 3 by 2. So 3 by 2x plus 8 into 27 by 256. Again, it's a good idea to use indices. 8 means 2 to the power 3, 256 means 2 to the power 8. So this means minus 5, that means 1 by 2 to the power 5 is 32. So this is going to be 27 by 32 x squared. So let's do this calculation. Now we need the first term, which is 4. So there is no other constant, so this is going to be the first term. Now we need terms of x. This is half and this is 3 by 2. So if you add half and 3 by 2, so the base is same. So half plus 3 by 2 would be 4 by 2, so which is 2. So 2x. The third term is going to be x squared, so that means the x cubed term is out. So this is going to be 3 by 16 plus 27 by 30. Let me use the calculator this time. I'm getting a bit impatient with this hand calculation. So 3 by, but it's always a good idea to use the hand calculation because it is faster. Use the calculator whenever you think it is absolutely necessary, like here. So 3 by 16 plus 27 by 32. So 27 by 32. And that is going to be shift ABC 33 by 32. x squared. Now we don't need that term because we need the first three terms. It's all right if we just ignore it. Now let's check whether our calculation is correct or not. So this is the steps. This is the first mark. You take the constant common, and then you do the breakdown, and you finally see this answer is half 3 by 16x plus 1. This is correct. In question number B, you do the multiplication. You need the first three terms. You need 4. So it is correct. So let's see the examiner's report. So this question was also generally well tackled. Generally means usually. About 50% of that means half of the candidates at least had 8 of the 9 marks. So that's not bad. A substantial minority of candidates were unable to carry out the first step. Substantial minority, what could that mean? It's like a lawyer's language. Minority means few people. Substantial means quite a number of the few people. So that's a common mistake. Taking the constant common, that's a very common mistake. So you have to remember the method for C2 where you have to use this. So this is a common mistake. You have to remember that. And at the end, you have to multiply by the half that was outside the bracket. Now, in part B, most candidates realized that they need to multiply this with this. A surprising number of candidates attempted to expand this. Surprising number of candidates means it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. That's a warning to the candidates and the teachers. You have to understand x plus 8 to the power 1 cannot be expanded. Other candidates omitted the bracket. Now this is a common mistake, omitting the brackets. I have seen this many times, so you have to remember the brackets are very important. Although they progressed as if invisible brackets were there, the mark scheme allowed candidates to score 2 marks out of 4. So you have to understand, even if you mistakenly slip the bracket, but you're doing the sum as if there is an invisible bracket, you're going to lose the mark. This is very, very important.